Thank you very much, Ed Henry at the White House. So here now, Mark Thiessen, a scholar at the American Enterprise Institute and a Fox News contributor, and Dr. Wendy Osefo, a political commentator and professor at Johns Hopkins University. Welcome to both of you.
Good to
have you here tonight. Wendy, let me start with you. Was the political rhetoric too soon?
It was too soon. But what we have to understand is, like American pie, apple pie, or baseball games, gun violence is uniquely an American problem. Prior to 2011, we were averaging mass shootings 200 times a day. Since 2015, we're at 64 mass shootings per day. And what we see in Las Vegas was not a crime of opportunity. This was a premeditated act of a domestic terrorist. And just because his last name is not hard for us to say, we have to use the correct labels here. And what is true here is that when you have hatred, you cannot regulate that. You cannot regulate evil, but you can regulate guns.
Yeah.
Those are annual figures, not daily figures.
Yes.
Okay.
And they count everything that includes, like, 4 gang guys go out and have a shooting, have a gang fight in Chicago, and that's counted as a mass shooting. But that's different than these kinds of mass shootings where you have somebody going out and attacking innocent civilians.
Anyway, too many people are
dying from guns.
That, I think, is something that we can absolutely all agree on. So the question becomes, as you hear these pleas for the NRA and for more laws, are the laws on the books good enough if they're enforced, and are they not being enforced to the extent that they could be, Mark?
Well, one of the problems we have is, for example, first of all, we don't know the exact details of what specific gun he used, where he got it, how he got access to it. So there's a lot of facts that we don't have in play yet to make those decisions. However, the automatic weapons have been banned in the United States for civilian sale since 1986.
And you got a hold of it, it appears.
Okay, but that's the point about gun control, is that the people who are intent on killing people will get the guns anyway. And by the way, also, if he adapted a gun, those devices are also been banned since 1986. So if anything, this case, if it pans out that this is correct, this is a failure of gun control. This is not this. And I'll tell you something. The Washington Post fact checker a couple of years ago was asked to fact check the question. Marco Rubio had said not one single mass shooting in recent years would have been stopped by new gun laws that have been proposed, and he gave him a Geppetto check mark for factually correct. So there's no gun law that would have stopped this.
Every time we cover one of these stories, Wendy, when we get to the point where we figure out how the gun was acquired, and I think back to San Diego, I think back to all of them, it turns out that it was acquired through legal means, or that the person who got the gun wasn't the person who ended up firing the gun. How do you get at this problem with?
We have to have stricter gun laws. And as a mother, hearing you say just because we have gun laws,
Chicago has strict gun laws.
They do. But we have to. But Congress has to do their part. You can't say. And what I was trying to use was the analogy of, as a mother, you can't say, oh, a child is going to do something bad, so just go ahead and do it. No, you still have to put footprints and things in place and roadblocks in place to ensure.
What gun law would have stopped this?
What gun law would have stopped this? I can't answer that because that's a hypothetical, right? Right? Because that's a hypothetical. But what we need to do is we need to come together. Congress needs to come together in a bipartisan manner to ensure that all of the checks are checked off to make sure that this does not happen. There is not one antidote to say this will be prevented if we implement this. That's
I got to leave it there, you guys. Thank you very much. Good to see you both, Wendy and Mark, tonight. So the country music